Hello, I'm Randy Prossi, the president of the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. When I started here, we made a commitment to our distillery partners and to you to only deliver the highest quality programming, feature the products and all the processes behind making them, and to showcase the real rock stars of the bourbon industry. We couldn't invite you to join us in our place, so thank you for welcoming us into yours. We have a weekend full of informative information and a lot of fun segments ahead. From the art of whiskey making to bourbon tourism, from making classic cocktails to authentic Kentucky cuisine, buying and collecting rare bourbons, and entertainment stories from the mouths of the legends who lived them themselves. Every segment presented by the icons and the experts of this industry, and it's all set against the backdrop of the distilleries themselves. We bring it all to you from right here in Bardstown, Kentucky, the bourbon capital of the world. Your host all weekend is Steve Coombs. Steve is a Louisville-based journalist and industry expert focusing on restaurants and the spirits industry. Steve has authored numerous books, so I would really suggest you guys go out and check him out. He loves the industry and we really feel like it shows through. Thank you to our partners for bringing this event to you, a very real event in a virtual year. Our distilleries and industry experts for their time, the master distillers themselves for coming and talking about their product, and for signing and donating some bottles that you all have a chance to win this weekend. And all of the brand ambassadors and other non-distilling industry experts that lent their time and their knowledge to us. And of course to you, the fans of bourbon from around the world. Whether you're just discovering bourbon or are a seasoned fanatic, we have something here for you all weekend. But come see us next year in Bardstown, Kentucky in person. It's our 30th anniversary. Now, as Steve will be encouraging you throughout the weekend, sit with us and sip with us. Cheers.
Good evening and welcome to the 2020 Kentucky Bourbon Festival, the virtual edition from Bardstown, Kentucky. I'm Steve Coombs, I'm your host this evening, and this is our kickoff event, Supermarket Cocktails.
Yes.
And my guest is Thomas Bolton, brand diplomat from Maker's Mark in Loretto, Kentucky, and he's going to show you how to make cocktails based on just simple supermarket ingredients. I mean, before we even start, I want to ask you this question, Thomas. Do you think people tend to get intimidated trying to make cocktails at home, especially ones that are made by professionals like you?
I think they do. I think there's a lot of showmanship behind cocktails, and at the end of the day, it's putting ingredients together that taste good together, and anyone can do it at home, and that's kind of been my philosophy since I've been working with Makers and starting the first cocktail experience at Makers was I want to make cocktails where you can walk into your local grocery store and find all the ingredients you need and have knockout cocktails for entertaining at home. That's kind of the whole goal there.
And we're going to do that tonight with some simple ones?
We are. Some simple ones that don't look simple, but they are very simple. So when you see the final end, you're like, wow, that looks like it took a whole lot of work. It's really just working smarter, not harder, and then putting all the ingredients together.
It's going to impress your friends and family?
That's the goal, yes.
That's the goal, to look good, to look marvelous when you do this. What's our first one up?
So the first one we're going to do is a modern classic called a Gold Rush. So with almost all cocktails, and when I ran bars, I really wanted people to focus on 3 or 4 ingredient cocktails. This is one of those. The reason you do that is because when you start going to like half parts or quarter parts, that's when it starts to get tedious, and that's where people tend to shy away from it. This cocktail, very easy. It's lemon, honey, and Maker's Mark. Those 3 ingredients.
Okay.
So before we get started, when you use honey in a cocktail, it's a lot of people have a hard time with it. If the cocktail's not hot, like this one's not a hot cocktail, the honey just kind of clumps up at the bottom. Even in your shaker, you're not getting all flavor out of it. So what we're going to do is make a honey syrup. Now I'm going to show you
1-to-1 honey and water.
1-to-1
right?
honey and water. So I'm going to show you how simple for all these cocktails. If there's a syrup being used, I'm going to make it in front of you so you can see how simple that is.
Awesome.
So first, just honey. I went shopping today an hour before we started shooting at a local grocery store in Bardstown and bought all these ingredients right there. So
you're going to do this right in the glass. You don't even have to make a batch like I do at home sometimes.
I made a batch for me when I actually made the cocktail, but this is just to demonstrate a honey syrup. And then we got hot water in here. Pull this back.
So freehanding is okay. Don't always have to have your measuring stuff, but
You know,
it does help when you're
making
using the jigger for the alcohol ingredients for sure.
Yes. So what that took 45 seconds. And now you've got a honey syrup. Now, the best part about this is you can see how honey, usually when you saw me pouring it, how viscous it is. Now it's moving around the glass. It mixes much better with the cocktail, and it's not sitting at the bottom. So that's how you make honey syrup. Now for this cocktail, what you're gonna do is you're gonna start with honey syrup, and we're gonna go, let's go 3/4 of an ounce. Right there. Then lemon. Now I love to use fresh lemon. If you're in a bind and you've got some of that fridge ready lemon juice, that's fine, but fresh lemon is relatively cheap, way better in a cocktail, and you can find it in any
way better in every aspect, I should
grocery
add.
store. Yes.
Than not so real lemon. Just saying.
So I'm gonna go half an ounce. Half a part.
And basically, you know, a lemon that you find at a grocery store these days gives you about a full ounce per squeeze, right?
Per full lemon.
Yeah.
So when I just cut it in half, so then that goes in, and then now's the fun part. What we're using for this is the original Redhead Classic Maker's Mark. The reason I want to use this is because I think it's got really nice caramel notes that work very well with the honey that's already in there. And it sits at 90 proof, so it's not gonna overproof the cocktail. It just works really well with soft ingredients like that. Clover honey's pretty soft. The half ounce of lemons. For your suppers, you're gonna go 2 whole parts of this because you want this to be a bourbon forward cocktail.
Yeah, it's my experience that in Gold Rush, my experience can't be that broad because I've just done cocktails at home, but I really like wheated bourbons for those. And I'm not sure why, but it really seems to work well with the lemon. Maybe the softer profile of the whiskey, do you think? Or?
I think it's that. It's the sweetness of the honey. You have the acid of the lemon. All that's pulling towards the front of your palate, and Maker's does the same thing. And, you know, this bourbon was created from one man's taste vision of whiskey, and that was sweet, smooth, front palate finish. Yeah. And so this whole cocktail plays to that. So then you're going to add some ice in here. And then you're going to shake. Now, at home cocktailers, this is not a shake. This is not a shake. First off, no one looks cool doing that. This is a shake, and when you shake, you have to smile because you're about to have delicious cocktails. You're gonna hold it up here, you're gonna smile, all right? And then you're gonna shake, just like that, all right? And if you're making 2 cocktails, you can do it with 2 hands. We're just doing 1 today. And what you wanna do is listen for the ice to break. That's a bar term, and you can hear it right about now. The shaking is different than it was in the beginning. What you're doing when you're shaking is you're diluting the cocktail and you're chilling it at the same time. The dilution or the water added in is going to give you that balance. So next we need a glass. This is going to be on the rocks.
And why do you prefer to shake that one versus stir it?
So for this one, anytime you have citrus in a cocktail, and we're doing 2 shaken and 1 stirred, so you're going to go through both of them. But anytime you have citrus, you want to shake because you're forcing that ingredients together. So when it's just like, say, an old fashioned, which we're going to do in a little bit, which is just bitters, which is alcohol, bourbon, which is alcohol, sugar. There is no acid in there. There's no juice. So you don't have to force that together because just by stirring, you're combining those ingredients way easier than if you were to stir a cocktail with citrus or juice.
I see.
So,
a little Hawthorne Strainer.
Yep, so what you want to do here, so everyone can see at home, we're going to use 2 strainers today. We have a Julep Strainer and a Hawthorne Strainer. This will help you control the flow. You see right there. So then, it's a beautiful color. If you measure it out right.
I'd say it's pretty close.
That's good. And then we're going to garnish. Now, the garnish here, I like to do a little lemon twist. Some people like to put a lemon wheel, but this is something that you can do at home. that just kind of ups the cocktail game a little bit. This is called a channel knife. You can find this in grocery stores, or you can look online and get one. But what you're going to do, and I like to hold it over the drink, so as you're doing it and the lemon zest is coming out, it's also going on the drink. But you're going to...
Not sure if you can see it on camera, but the oils being expressed from that as he cuts it are amazing. It just really gives an incredible aroma.
So next thing you're going to do here is take your spoon. If you've got one.
Never done this trick.
Yep. Wrap it around. Pull it out to tighten it. And then slide it off the end. You've got a nice lemon twist right there. And that, Steve, is your gold.
Is it Gold Rush?
Let me know if what you think about it. If you're going to give it a taste.
By all means, I'll give it a taste. How could I not? It's terrific. It's terrific.
Good. You guys
That's the
got
way
that
it
on
should
camera,
be.
right? He said it's terrific.
It's on the record. I love a Gold Rush. It's my
Okay.
wife's favorite cocktail.
Well, that's good. And I believe you said you use Maker's Form, like you said earlier.
I
because
do.
what we did,
I do. I even like a higher proof maker sometimes.
we're getting there.
We're working our way up.
So any questions on that?
Simple as can be.
It is that was 3 ingredients.
Out.
Love getting prices that are lower than low on food that's fresher than fresh? With the Kroger app, you can get personalized coupons on top of weekly sales and rewards like fuel points, all for prices that are lower than the everyday low. So go ahead, get lower than low. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Now this next cocktail is going to look way more complicated. It's going to have a few more ingredients, but it's very easy to make. This is a cocktail that was created by Levi Donaldson. I'm not sure. He's a local Louisville, Southern Indiana bartender that's been all over the world flair competitions. He was one of my mentors. This cocktail, when people saw it walking through the dining room, would move immediately. It's like a fajita cocktail. You know when fajitas come out and they're sizzling?
Exactly.
And
yeah.
everyone's like, what is that? I want that. That's what this cocktail is. So it's very easy to make. Start in your big tin. So we're going to start with juice. Now I bought orange juice, pineapple juice, and then passion fruit juice. So this is going to be a bourbon punch sangria style cocktail.
And again, all this was purchased at a local Kroger.
A local Kroger right here in Bardstown. This is my 3rd time in there, so it took me probably 40 more minutes than it should have to find all the ingredients, but I found them. So let's start equal parts with the juice. So we're gonna go 1 ounce for each. So you've got your pineapple juice. You've got your orange juice.
And when possible, you want to squeeze those fresh, right?
Squeeze them fresh.
Probably
Yep.
not the case with the pineapple, I wouldn't think.
Pineapple and the passion fruit are tough to find in Kentucky.
Yep.
But your OJ, for sure, you want to squeeze it fresh or get it as fresh as you can anywhere.
And that's the passion fruit, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah. All right. So 3 ingredients: pineapple juice, orange juice, passion fruit. Next up is the bourbon. Now, we've already used Makers. I'm going to switch to 46. A lot of times in this cocktail, what I like to do is add a touch of vanilla with a vanilla simple, but because we're using 46 and it's got that high vanilla content and then also some baking spices, I don't think I need the vanilla simple. Also, all those juices we just poured are really high in sugar anyways, so you don't want to oversweeten the cocktail. So for this one, it's going to be 1.5 parts.
This is 94 proof versus the
90
proof you just used, right?
Yep. All right. So then we're going to add a little bit of ice. And you're actually going to roll this cocktail. As opposed to giving it an aggressive shake. So
like that.
A roll, we'll use these two, is just this.
Oh. Are you hoping also to get some air in there by doing this?
Yep.
And maybe create some foam and texture?
Well, you know, that's more with a heavy shake. This, I don't want to over dilute it. We're already adding so much.
So you're not wanting to break that ice up at all?
I don't. I want to chill it down. And then we're also going to add ice here. This is fun for everybody. So now you're going to get a wine glass.
Yeah, so, you've got great ice there. That's made by a cold draft ice maker, which makes hard, clear ice. If you can't get that at home, which I know you can't get cold draft at home, but many commercial bagged ice providers are really good.
Yes.
Yeah, as opposed to the ice made by your freezer. So look for those things, clarity and large cubes. Well, that's simple.
That's simple. And then what you're going to do here, which is the touch. This cocktail I like to say when you're having a dinner party at home and you invite the neighbors and there's that one neighbor that's just really annoying and always tries to outdo everybody. This is the drink that you bring out to show off to that. You guys know what I'm talking about that neighbor?
I know some of those.
So when I said this is going to be like a bourbon punch sangria, this is where the red wine comes in. So this is the fun part right here. Just drizzle on top.
So the point's just to float it. You're not going to
just
stir it or
floating it
anything.
right on top.
Yeah.
Your friends, when they drink it, they can do whatever. They can mix it up or they can drink it how they want to. But then what you want
nice.
is a little bit of basil.
Got to spank those herbs.
Right there. Actually, we'll throw them right there. And then this is like when you're in a restaurant, tall cocktails always grab everyone's attention. So then you make it even taller with a big, nice orange wheel. So then when that walks out, or when you take that out to your guests, and you can batch this in a pitcher and do the red wine on top just as a fun little thing. But when that goes out, that's going to get
a lot of attention. Very eye-catching.
Super quick, super easy. But that cocktail, that's going to be Instagrammed, and all your friends are going to say, "You got to go to Steve's house for this cocktail. You've got to."
What a way to win more friends and influence people through cocktails.
Yes.
I'll have to do that. Okay, so would you serve it just like that, and you want them to drink through the red wine, or would you put a straw on it?
It's how you want to. I
how
like
we're
them
gonna do
to
it
drink.
right now,
I like
right?
it. What I like is the first sip through the red wine, and then people can mix it up how they want. I probably wouldn't use a straw as much as I'd use, if I did use a straw, it'd be a wheat straw, for sustainability reasons. But
That's
really
like
simple.
Breakfast drinking.
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
a good brunch cocktail.
Absolutely. And easy.
Yeah. So any
Surprisingly
questions?
No, these are all straightforward to me.
Yep.
And by the way, we're going to have all these recipes on the website, so you can make these at home.
Yes, and they are very easy to make. Both of those two are very easily batchable, as is this next one that we are going to make.
We love batches at my house. As much as I like making cocktails for friends, it's not what I want to do all night. I want to engage, and if you can do a batch and shake, go, that's great.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
And then, with this one especially, you put the juice, the bourbon into a pitcher, let the people at home pour it over ice, and then do their own wine, see if they can float it. It gives people something else to do.
It's interactive.
And it's fun.
If you can only get them to clean up after it, because it will be a mess.
Good luck.
Love getting prices that are lower than low on food that's fresher than fresh? With the Kroger app, you can get personalized coupons on top of weekly sales and rewards like fuel points, all for prices that are lower than the everyday low. So go ahead, get lower than low. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
So the next cocktail we're going to make is a classic. I think everyone should have this cocktail in your arsenal. It's an old-fashioned.
Absolutely.
It is a cocktail that I have made well over probably 10,000 times. And it's so simple, but also so simple to mess up. It's 3 ingredients. You have your sugar, you have your bourbon, you have your bitters, and then you have the water when you stir it down. And then I like to garnish it with just an orange peel. I don't muddle cherries or anything like that.
Me either.
But a fun thing about this cocktail is you can use different bitters or different syrups to change up the cocktail.
Lots of riffs on it.
Lots of riffs on it. Like I did, the one I'm making a few days of classic, I did one at the James Beard House a couple years ago where I made a syrup out of apple juice and cinnamon. So it was an apple syrup with black walnut bitters and bourbon. It was for the fall. It was very good.
Sounds fantastic.
It's still one that I do at home a lot. So let's get started. You're going to need syrup. So like I said, I'm going to show you how to make syrup. Now what I like to do, and for this one, I'll measure it out for you.
Again, 1 to 1, right?
1 to 1. That's how I do it. Other people do 2 to 1, but for ease, I go 1 to 1. The real hardcore bartenders use a scale. I don't have a scale here today, so I'm just going to make it very simple.
Now you got turbinado sugar.
Yes.
Do you like the richness of that?
I like the earthiness, honestly. I think it is rich, but it's not as sweet as your white granulated sugar. And I think that...
Because it's less refined, right? Isn't that part of it?
Yep. And I think that plays very well in this cocktail, especially when we're using Maker's Mark cast strength. Okay, so some warm water. Again.
I tend to batch these at home and make about a quart of it, or a half quart sometimes at a time. And several bartenders have told me never boil a simple syrup because you do have that crystallizing that'll happen.
Yep.
And about 165 is what I've found is really where the sugar dissolves easily.
Quickly, yeah.
Cool it off, no higher. And another little trick, and tell me if you ever did this, this is from the wonderful Sean Thibodeau, if you remember him,
I know
great
Sean
bartender
very
in
well.
Louisville, was to add a little bit of vodka if you make a big batch, just to preserve it.
Preserve
Maybe,
it.
5%
Yeah.
the whole solution?
Yeah, you fortify it, preserve it, you can use it a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So you stir that until it completely dissolves. And that is how you make raw sugar simple. So let's start. When we're building these cocktails, I don't know if you've noticed so far, but I haven't mentioned it yet, you're starting with the least expensive ingredients first.
Why is that? Why that order?
So when you're doing it professionally, it's because if you mess it up, you're not costing the bar nearly as much money if you don't. Now,
Never thought of it that way.
For me, when I messed it up, it just went right here for after shift, and then it wasn't costing the bar any money. But you always want to start. So the least expensive ingredient, probably for how quickly you go through it, would be the Angostura bitters. You're going to do 2 dashes. Now again, for your bartenders at home, this is not a dash. This is not a dash. This is a dash. All right, one more time for everyone at home. That is a dash. You're going to do 2 of those. I happen to love Angostura.
So you're going to
Sometimes
use
I go 3.
even your fake dashes and your real dash? You just going to make that for yourself?
Yeah, I'm saving that one for later. I'm just going to drink that after they shut off the cameras. So 2 dashes. 1, 2. All right. Next up is let me rinse this out.
For those at home who hear what's going on, he's got a rinser,
Yes.
which cleans
Or-
his equipment.
Or you at home, your sink will do the same thing, just not as quickly. So this is the raw sugar syrup. Remember, you're going to go a half part The reason I'm doing that, and Susie from the Silver Dollar would slap me right now if she saw me doing this, because she likes to go a bar spoon, but she also makes her sugar like 2-to-1 or 3-to-1. But I'm using a 1-to-1, so I'm using more than if you were to use a syrup that was more concentrated.
And you said a half part. That looked like about a half ounce. Is
Yep.
that correct? Get jiggers, people, if you don't have them. They're the best bar tools going.
Yes,
that is a good bar spoon.
This is, if you guys can get close in here, I love these jiggers because it's 1 ounce to 2 ounce. Hardly any cocktails are going to call for more than 2 ounces of any one spirit. But if you can zoom in here, you can see the lines on the inside. So that goes quarter, half, 3/4, and then the very top is 1 ounce. And then on this side, you can see the line right in here. That's 1.5 ounces. So this jigger, you can do multiple cocktails, multiple measurements on both sides, as opposed to getting, a 1/4 ounce jigger to a 1 ounce. This one does it all. It's really simple.
And that looks like a Cocktail Kingdom jigger, probably.
That's what it looks like to me. Then you're
So
going. Yep, actually, it
cocktailkingdom.com.
says right there on the inside.
Yep.
Cocktail
No,
Kingdom.
no endorsements. That's it's a great place to get your bar gear.
So then you're going to go 2 parts of Maker's Mark cast strength. So another fun thing when you're pouring, and this goes from bartending in restaurants and bars, when you're pouring, you want to pour over the vessel that you're going to put it in, because there's winners and losers in the bar. All right, if I'm pouring it and I spill it and it goes into the drink, the customer wins because they're getting more booze than what they're paying for. It's my fault. If for some reason I'm distracted and I'm over there and I underpour, then the bar wins because they're getting a little less booze and it's my fault. If it falls on the mat or anywhere on the bar, there's not a winner there, right? No one's getting more booze or no one's getting less booze and you're not getting money. It's just a waste. So you always want to pour over whatever vessel you're going to go into. So next is your ice.
These mixing cups are nice too, or mixing vessels or glasses are just really convenient for all stirred drinks. That'll make easily two drinks, I guess, right?
When you stir it down.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
so
or
just
one.
That's one only, huh? Is that
That's
what
one
you're
that's
saying?
just for you.
Well, I mean, but this would hold 2, right?
Oh, this you could make probably 2 or 3 in this if you wanted to. Same like for these tins, you could double up, but I'm just making a singular one. So next thing you're going to do is stir. So for those of you at home,
Which would be
this-
everybody except us.
yep, this is not a stir. This is not a stir. So what you're going to do, you're going to take the spoon, you're going to put it to the back of the glass right here, and then you want the back of that spoon to stay on that glass, just like that. You can see that it's really just hand motion. My arm's not really moving at all. So what you're doing here is you're diluting and mixing. And when you think you've stirred Dean Sterneals, do you know Dean?
Yes. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Dean is a really good friend of mine. What Dean says,
He's much better at this job than I am.
when you think you're done stirring an old fashioned, stir it 10 more times. That's how you get it really good. Now the ice we're using too, super dense, so you want to stir it down a little bit more.
And even that bar spoon, there are too many of those ones you see with a little red plastic tip. Skip those. Never use them. They don't turn well in your hand. That is also available on Amazon. You can get sets of them for about $8, and they're really smooth and they feel good in your hand. And they stir well in your hand.
So
That's just picky.
next up, it's a new type of strainer. This is a Julep Strainer. You know the history behind this?
I don't.
So
That's to keep the muddled ingredients back, maybe, is that right? Or?
So this was originally invented before straws. And the mint julep was a cocktail that was jammed full of crushed ice. So hence why they call it a julep strainer is that you would put it on your cocktail and to keep the ice from falling.
Wow.
Now we use it in glass beakers like this to strain it out because they invented straws.
You've done this before. I
Once
see.
or twice.
Yeah. 10,000 according to your last claim.
So the next thing we are going to do, if I can find it, is garnish.
And notice too, folks, how much ice he has in the glass. A lot of people want to stop it about there like they're on ration at home.
No,
Use
you
lots of ice.
want to load it up with ice. So next thing you're going to do is garnish. This is a Y peeler or potato peeler. It's just the best one to use. This is also the most dangerous tool behind a bar. I've seen more bartenders cut themselves with this than anything else. So you want to do it the right way. And how that works is that you get your other hands out of the way. Your thumb is at the bottom. You get a very large peel like that. This thumb comes over, this goes away, and then you turn away from you. So after that, this is the fun part where you get to show your friends the cool thing. It's fire. All right, so you're going to toast the peel. It's going to bring out the oils, and then flame it over like that.
How cool.
Rotate around. Orange oil is flammable, and then drop it in. Oh, I'll just hand this.
And we
to
get to
you.
taste again.
Yes.
I think half the fun of an old fashioned is the aroma.
Oh, it's great. I've debated a lot of bartenders about the muddled. It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. It's perfect.
About the muddled cherry, the muddled orange, that style. And they're good. They're all well and good. But one thing that always makes me upset behind the bar is when they get to the end of the cocktail and they're trying to get that fruit salad on the bottom and they're just digging their hands in there. So I just skip all that and go just with an orange and that citrus.
I agree. Maybe a Luxardo cherry or never those faux maraschino.
Yeah, but if you want
cherries.
to drop a Luxardo cherry on there, that
it's
adds
cool.
some color, some pop to it.
But yeah,
For sure.
I'm not crazy about the texture of the fruit salad, but a lot of people like it.
Oh yeah,
you know?
I mean it's very popular.
Or even the really old-fashioned way of doing it with the sugar cube,
sugar
and
cube.
People love that texture.
Yeah, it's a little more steps than.
Look at that, just kind of evolving now. We got ice moving around. So let's talk a little bit about the whiskey.
Oh, please.
And this is, to me, the first time I had the cask strength, I thought this is the way makers always should have been. Now Bill Samuels, much as I enjoy him and respect him, would not agree with me. But God love him, he owns the brand, and look at me, I'm a schlub standing next to you on a video. But I just think that's an amazing representation of that whiskey and what it, what comes out of the barrel is just alive and fun to play with.
You know how cask strength came about?
No, I don't.
We would take bartenders down to the distillery, and one thing fun that we would do is we would open up a barrel full of matured makers and we taste it, and bartenders would say, that's what I want in the bar, that's what I want to make cocktails with. And so it was the push of the service industry asking for a barrel proof for the bartenders, and the bar community here in Kentucky and nationwide doesn't get enough credit for the bourbon boom.
I would agree.
Think because they pushed those cocktails so hard, and looked up old pre-prohibition cocktail recipes and really kind of helped with the cocktail renaissance. And it's because of their push cask strength came about. It's interesting. This is Bill Samuels Sr.'s taste vision for makers. This is Bill Samuels Jr. And then Rob Samuels, right when he came in, the first thing he did was listen to bartenders and give them their taste vision of what makers.
I mean, I hear a lot of stories like that about the cocktail movement driving that. Jimmy Russell at Wild Turkey talks about his grandson, Bruce, telling him, Granddaddy, Rye's driving the bus on cocktails. And he's like, but we only make it 2 days out of the year. It's like, we need to make more. And he said, well, I finally believed my grandson, and look what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got Wild Turkey Rye everywhere, so. But that's off-brand.
But it really is true. Kentucky as a state has helped. I mean, it's a huge push for the bourbon boom. And then bartenders across the nation and the world going back to their pre-prohibition roots and finding old recipes and substituting bourbon for rye, and rye for bourbon, and just playing around with it just really helped it go from a makers and a mixer to these cocktails that you have right in front of you. They're all super easy, but just a little bit more elevated.
One last question before you run out of time. Batching. You said this was batchable.
Yep.
This is batchable, and I've done those batch many
too.
times, but I put the bitters in last. Talk about why you want to do that, and maybe even pull back on some of the amount of bitters that you put in.
So for the old-fashioned and
Right.
specifically, well,
you can get 12 out of a bottle, out of a 750,
Yep.
2-ounce old-fashioned. That's what I like, and I think it's what you like.
Yep.
So that would be 24 dashes. That's a heck of a lot to put in a batch and let sit on a counter,
it is.
right?
Well, it's going to sit, and bitters are concentrated flavor, and if you go that high amount of dashes of bitters and you're not planning on moving it, or like you're not planning on everyone coming and drinking it within the first like 2 or 3 hours, it's going to start to overpower and take over the drink. Something else when you are batching is I found it for old fashions, which is a little tougher, is that dilution rate and how you do it. Because if you're batching, you still have to add water. What a lot of people forget to do when they're batching, say, a Gold Rush, is to balance it out, there needs to be that water and that dilution. If not, it's just lemon, honey, and bourbon. You can mix that all together, but you're still missing a key component of that cocktail, which is that water melting from the ice.
So about what % of the total batch would you like if you were to add cold water to it to mimic that dilution?
It's interesting. I've had arguments about this with a lot of my counterparts.
This introduces civil discourse? I mean, like,
yes,
really?
So it's, I like to start at 15% and then work up. I know other people that start at 20%, and then I read one ridiculous article that said start at 25%. Don't do that. But I always start at 15%, and then I taste. If it's there, it's there. If it's not, I'll keep going up till I get there. That's one thing that's really fun about pre-batching cocktails at home, is that you do it to taste. Just like Maker's Mark is aged to taste, all these cocktails are made to taste. And when you're pre-batching at home, you're the taster. So at the end of the day, you'll get it. And
Thomas Bolton, can't thank you enough, man, for showing us how to do this.
Of course.
Taking your time to represent Maker's Mark.
Thanks for having me.
One of our greatest distilleries in the state. Hope you're enjoying this. There's many more episodes coming past or after this. Stay tuned, make some cocktails, come back and join us.